you very much.
All right. Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you, Team Magic. And thank you for everybody who's here today. So again, as mentioned by Rosalind, today is our final session on this particular webinar series. And today we'll be focusing on how to develop a productive and profitable organization. And to recap, I would do a quick recap of how everything ties together in the beginning of this webinar. Then we'll go directly into the operational portion of the webinar. Okay. All right. So let me hold on. Let me look at my slide. Let me make sure that I have it right. Okay, because I believe, unfortunately, I think I got my title wrong. So, but it's okay. We're short of time. So I'm just gonna share my slides. Okay, so the actual title is supposed to be Develop Productive and Profitable Operation. So not organization. Okay, right. Rosalind, you can see my slides, right?
It's coming on. Yeah, today is on operations. There's a little bit of confusion. It was
it was supposed to be, when I
organization
changed the slides,
operations.
I didn't change the title.
No,
So yeah, it's actually supposed to be developed profitable operation, and that we are looking at 5 elements, 5 focus areas in operations, which is your financials, fundings, production and delivery, IT system, and facilities. So to have a more, a better look at it, we're looking at strategizing for growth, and we're looking at operations. So we're looking at if you're, pretty much looking at better short-term and long-term cash flow. We're looking at your financials. We're looking at, fundings that you require, looking at how do you review your costs in your business to reduce expenses and make sure you have better returns. And also we want for you to have an action plan to improve your financials or your operations, right? So that's the focus of today. But what I like to do is I like to go back to where we started in our webinar series, is looking at your business. Because when we're looking at your business, overall, what we're looking at the sweet spot between market desirability, business viability, and technical feasibility, capability of doing what you want to give to your market. So we're looking at the sweet spot. The sweet spot is the red part where the 3 overlap. So that's what we are looking for when we are starting and managing a business. And when we are talking about profitable operations, pretty much we're looking at the business viability of it. Whether it's viable for us, how do we measure viability, and how do we ensure viability of this sweet spot of your business. And what I like to also always emphasize, again, which focus area, what strategy that you use is very highly dependent on your business life cycle. Perhaps I never illustrated it very clearly in the earlier webinars, but let me share with you, as you know, there's changes in your business model from where you are. When you start off as a pre-startup, you have a lot of assumptions, a lot of theories that you need to validate. And you need to find out the truth, so to speak, the truth to your business. And as you grow, the business model could change in many ways. It would, and perhaps you would have several business models in one business itself because of different targets of segment of market, different products, different services. And of course, definitely, as you grow, the organizational structure, the size also changes. So you would have different focus areas, different things that you're looking at depending on where you are in the business life cycle. Like I emphasized earlier on, when you are starting as a pre-startup, you would look very much into your business concept because nothing else, everything else is assumption. You want to build a desirable business concept that you can launch. And as you grow, you still, you still have your finger on business concept, but you also are looking at other parts of your focus area. So just to create that clarity, meaning this is not an exercise that you do once and you're done. It is an ongoing journey of making decisions and taking action. Okay. So to further look into it, Strategizer, I really love their sharing with the business model canvas, and also looking at one of my pet favorite subject, which is strategic entrepreneurship. The question about where you are in the life cycle would determine how much you're doing exploring and how much you are doing exploiting. So when you do not know your market, you do not know, you have a lot of assumption, you are exploring. You're exploring to find that sweet spot. Whereas when you are an organization, a business which is established, you're probably more towards the other end of exploiting. You already have the resources, you already know a lot of things, you know your market and things like that. However, to sustain, to ensure that you continue to the next level and so on and be sustainable, you have to move a bit to the left. You have to move a bit to exploring. So these are the things that you need to balance. So it depends on where you are in the life cycle. Again, if you're a startup, you're more on the left extreme. Whereas if you are a mature organization, somebody who's been around for some time, you probably be more on the right. So the question is that to create sustainability, to ensure viability and finding your sweet spot, you have to work towards being able to balance between the two. Okay, so those are the things strategically you have to think, you have to decide. Those are the things that as an entrepreneur, you have to have clarity. Where do you want to go from there? And there are some a bit of details. If you read or follow Strategizer, they talk about the difference between when you're exploring and you're exploiting, which is really nice to know. You would know, what are the things your strengths are and your weakness, and the things you need to enable to execute to be where you want to go. So again, as I mentioned, what you want to look is that you really want to have both. The question would be, what would you focus on? Okay, so this is where for me, growth wheel really helps, because it helps you give clarity on where you are at this point of time and what do you need to focus on and to execute. What decisions that you have to make and actions you need to take. So I just sharing you with about this so that you would have clarity how growth wheel works with your strategy. How does it make your strategy executable? Because if you rely alone on business model canvas, which is an awesome tool, it is more on thinking about it, coming up with the big decisions of your strategy. Whereas growth wheel would help you execute your strategy because it has a checklist of the things that you need to look at, the decisions, perhaps help you make the decisions you need to make and guide you through the actions you need to take. Okay. So as shared before in the previous webinars, growth wheel is a visual checklist. It has color codes. It talks about 4 challenges that any business, any industry, any faces, which is business concept, customer relationship, organization, and operations. So today our focus is on operation. However, before I go into the meat of the webinar, let me just share with you, because some of you, I'm sure after being with me for the past 4 webinars before this, wondering, how does it work? How does it actually work? And how does a relationship with a coach works with having tools like this? So I'm just going to do a quick sharing on that before we move on to the meat of the webinar. So when we talk about growth wheel, for example, I'm just sharing growth wheel as an example, but any coaching relationship pretty much starts with an onboarding where we meet, and collect information and look at how do we add value to your business. okay? Because we really need to have clarity of your return on investment of engaging a business advisor or a coach. And for me personally, as a business coach, I also have coaches that helps me with my business. Because again, a coach needs a coach. I'm an entrepreneur. I need somebody to help me to be a mirror, to be somebody, a thinking partner, to ensure that I did not overlook certain things. So the first part is an onboarding to actually get to know about you. What's the outcome that you want from such a relationship? Then we look at, so the next part is that we look at assessment. So the assessment is pretty much to look at, to start the conversation. So this is actually a conversation, a discussion of where you are, to understand where you are at this point of time, where you are from your, as an entrepreneur point of view, where do you think you are at this point of time, right? So in Growth Wheel, we use the 360 assessment as a start of the conversation, okay? Then what we do is that we identify what are the focus areas you want to look at. So once we identify based on your needs, based on your assessment, we would share tools. We should share certain tools, certain information, certain articles that we have pertaining to the focus area that you want to look at, okay? So we don't go, we don't, in Malay, say tabo, or just give, and then you get overwhelmed. We want to focus on things that make impact to you, okay? So we share relevant thinking tools, maybe 1 or 2 articles that's related to particular focus area that you are looking at. Then we come to the discussion, the options that you have, and then what are the decisions you need to make and what actions perhaps you need to take before making the decisions or after you've taken the decision, and create a 30, 60, 90-day action plan, okay? This is important because without an action plan, without a clear list of what are the decisions you need to make and actions you need to take, it'll be just a dream. You won't be executing your strategy. And finally, we monitor. In Growth Wheel, the platform itself has a monitoring system where we would send reminders to you every Monday asking you, say, have you, there are still open decisions, there's still open actions. What are you going to do about it? And also there is tracking in the form of financial, which is very related to what we are going to talk about today. Okay. And finally, just to share, there is a CRM when it comes to Growth Wheel, and it helps you for us to be always in contact online. We know how much time we spend. We know what interaction, and we track all the emails and the communication. So that's pretty much, to me, a great platform for a business advisor. And you can actually utilize any tools whenever you want it, because, for example, in Growth Wheel, we are cloud-based. Okay. And how do you start? There's no one way of doing it. I like to say is you start anywhere. You start with how you are comfortable in doing it. For example, in this situation, I do find that a lot of people, the biggest challenge is financial, especially now that we are in a crisis situation. So perhaps you really want to look into getting focused on crisis management. So we can focus on one particular item and we address that rather than look at the holistic one. Or you can start off with your ambition. You want to be the next 10x organization. So we can always start with that. So it's quite flexible depending on what you want to do with it, right? So having said that, as I said, we love that you start off with an as-is assessment. And for those who are registered with Magic, you will have the opportunity to download this document for you. And again, I believe we are offering a capstone project that we would want you to actually do a 360 assessment so that we would understand, how can we serve you better? How can we add value? What are your focus area? So that there's clarity in what you want to achieve, okay? So for today, like mentioned earlier, we are looking at operations. Today we're blue. We're looking at the blue part of it. And if you're looking at business model canvas as an example, what we're looking at is the parts in the red box. We're looking at your revenue stream, we're looking at your cost, and we'll also cost structure, and we're looking at your key activities. Okay, so that's pretty much the bulk of where the blue sections are. And if you look at a visual like this, then you will see, this is where the cost structure, and in actual fact, you talk about a bit of the business process and the key activities. Again, feel free, if I'm going too fast, if you have any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat box. And if you're an FB, use the chat box tool and then Magic team will have a look, and they'll stop me and we'll look at it. Okay, right. So again, growth wheel is ideal for decisions and actions to implement business models discovered within the canvas. So today, as I said, we're looking at operations. What are the 5 things that we are looking at, focus areas we're looking at in operation, profitable operation? We are looking at these 5, making sure that you have the right financial practices in place and ensuring that you have enough funding for profitable investments to be made. We also would want you to have the right production delivery system to secure profitability, looking at IT systems that make operations profitable and facilities that make operations effective. Okay, so this is pretty much looking at your business feasibility portion of your business. So again, if you are a startup, it's probably this won't be your biggest focus area, your main focus area at the moment, but you still need to answer a few things. If you are an operating business, ongoing business, these are some of the things that you perhaps would look at, especially to make your business more profitable, more effective and efficient. Okay, right. I like to share this photo, okay, because from my 20-odd years as an entrepreneur, I realized one of the biggest challenges faced by entrepreneurs is about financial management, the importance of financial management. So I'm not talking about the debit and credit or the books. And to me, as much as possible, hire somebody to do that for you. But the most important part is that how do you make decisions? Because when you make decisions, you need to have some data that you need to work on. And for me, as a business, your vital statistics is your financial section of your business. How do you manage your money? Because like flying a airplane, you only have so much fuel to fly a certain distance. Okay, without having all those instrumentations to measure a lot of things, the money or the fuel might not last you till the next destination. Okay, so if you notice this, and this is a life and death situation. It's the same thing like a business. It's a life and death scenario of your business. If you don't have the system and if you are not clear about your financial management, it could be a death toll to your business. Okay, so what I would encourage is actually to seriously look. If you do not have the expertise, get somebody who has an expertise, the competency to help you able to make decisions based on your financial information. Okay, so that's the first focus area that we're going into, which is financials. Okay, and when we talk about financial, we're focusing on things like cash management, preparing sales forecasts, reviewing cost structure, looking into company's profitability and how it can improve. Okay, so to me, this is ensuring, checking whether you've got diabetes, whether you've got heart problem, whether you've got high blood pressure, or whether you're healthy and fit. So these are the vital statistics of your business that you need to make sure you have in hand. You would know how much money you're spending, you know how much money you need to make. These are key to ensure you have a profitable operation. So there are 5 decision sheets, basic decision sheets that you can use when we're talking about financial management. So you've got the cash management, you've got cash flow budget, you've got how do you do profitability review, your sales budget and cost budget. So today there's one framework I like to share with you is about your budgeting process. There is a process, okay, that is good for you to know, to understand when do you need to do it and what are the steps you are required for you to do your budgeting process. Okay, budgeting is important because it gives you an estimate on how much money you need, how much money that you would be using in order to and how much money value you have to capture in order to ensure sustainability. So this is one framework I really love sharing with my clients when we talk about the financial management portion. And one sheet that I'll be sharing with you, I'll be sending this to Magic, is a profitability review. Because I do understand a lot of entrepreneurs have a challenge in how do you price your product? How do you price your service? There are some, sort of like guides on it. But then again, it is something that you need to think about your strategy. You have to understand your clients. You have to look at your competitor. You have to look at your supply. And you need to always calculate the earning power of your product and services. Which one you are going to focus on, which one that you are going to continue supplying, but at the same time ensuring you break even with it. So with this decision sheet, you actually are calculating the return on investment of each product and service that you are providing. Okay, and it will give you a rough estimate of how much, what's the number that you need to sell, what's the number that you need to produce in order to break even. Okay, so this is super helpful for those who have a challenge in deciding, how much, what's the price should be, what's the quantity, and other strategies when it comes to making profit. Definitely behind this, there's a lot of theory, for example, the theory which is true. For example, for you to be profitable, there's a few ways of doing it. One is increasing the price. Second is increasing the quantity. And third, repetition of purchase. So how do you put that in your strategy and to execute it? So this decision sheet hopefully will help you create clarity in how do you come about your calculation. All right. Okay, next is funding, which is also very important because a lot of people say, why aren't you an entrepreneur? Why aren't you in business? Because I don't have the money. I don't know where to get the funds. So this focus area helps deciding different financing options, help you prepare information for and negotiate with lenders, exploring alternative investment opportunities, and reviewing current and future risks, which is most important in the business, right? So it is about source of fund. So in this, we've got 5 decision sheets to help you think about what decisions you need to make and what actions you need to take in order to get your funds. So there's financing options, what lender information that you need to provide to prepare for your stakeholders, what sort of credit agreements, what are the things you want to look at, what are the investment catalogs, and also risk analysis. Okay, again, definitely, if you are a startup, the biggest challenge is actually to get external funding. Okay, so you might not be able to get funding from formal channels like a bank, for example. Okay, so you have to look at other alternatives, for example, crowdsourcing, P2P, family, friends, family and friends, and sometimes fools. So you need to know how much money you need, how long that money, that amount would sustain you, what's your burn rate, they call it the burn rate, and also what's in it for the persons who are going to invest in you. You have to have clarity, because that would help you in your pitch. Because if you're not clear what are you going to give in return for the stake in your company, then it creates a mismatch. That's the challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs face, is because they cannot understand what's in it for the stakeholder. Okay, frankly, if you go to formal channels, what they want to know is that how and when are you going to pay back? If you go for financial institutes, that's what they want. They want security. They want to know. So in order for you to, you need to show that through your lender information. Or, can you pay them back? When can you pay them back? How secure and sustainable your business will be. Okay, that's unfortunately the gravity truth, the truth that you cannot change. Right. So what I like to share with you, this is a simple decision sheet that will help you in looking at the types of financing available. Okay. And to understand, perhaps to do more research on what are the requirements in order to utilize particular financing options. Okay. So this is to help to have the discussion with your team to understand the risk factor, they understand the requirements, to understand, what are the needs in order to, what are the, what in return are you going to give for such financing, okay? So I hope that creates clarity to help you in order to decide which financing is best for you. Definitely, to me, the best one is that somebody gives me money for free with no profit sharing or anything. They just decide to put in the money in the account, but definitely there's always something in it for them, right? Okay, so another question that I get a lot is that about getting new shareholders, getting capital injections, meaning either private shares exchange, meaning you are getting a partner in and the partner is going to inject capital into your company, meaning you're privately selling stock, you're not going IPO yet, probably you can't at this point of time. So you just finding a new investor to come into your company. So there are things you really need to think about. Is it the right time? Is it the right amount? Is the money that the person is going to inject into your company sufficient for the duration that you need to do what you want to do? Is it the right type of shares? Because different shares would have different requirements. Is the share price right? Are you selling the right price? What about exit? What if the new shareholder wants to exit? What are the conditions that they have? Is this the right investor? Okay, because it's really important, because normally when you want an investor, you want somebody who adds value to your organization apart from money. So you have to understand what comes with the money. All right. So if you want to get a new partner, these are the questions that perhaps you need to look at. And with the decision sheets and the discussion with your business coaches, it will pretty much help you with that. All right. So again, if I'm just going to stop for a minute, look at the chat box. Okay. So far, nothing yet. Okay. Awesome. Either you really understand what I'm saying or you have no idea at all.
And nothing on Facebook too. I guess you're paying attention, hopefully.
Either you're enamored with my storytelling or you have no idea what I'm. Okay, right. So we talked about funding. So now let's go into the beef of it, which is your production and deliveries. What is this about? This is about how you manage your projects. You troubleshoot your production workflow problems. You want to optimize your resources through waste management and reduction, and to manage logistics systems, production and delivery. I do find that a lot of entrepreneurs, their focus is so much on selling. Their focus is so much on getting the demand. Okay, that production is not something that they look at as one of their immediate focus area. Okay, there is a pro and con towards it. The pro is that, okay, if your business has a lot of demand, then great, you know. But the bad part is that once you cannot deliver, you cannot produce with the quality that's required, it will impact you in the long run. So that's the balance between supply and demand. So you need to also look when your business suddenly is shooting, is spurting, do you have the capability and capacity in producing and delivering your product as per required by your client? Okay, so this focus area is really important, especially when you're starting to go on the growth stage. Okay, and it's good to keep an eye on it when you are starting. Okay, because you know, there's a lot of scenarios I've seen. You know, restaurants, for example, suddenly become so viral that because you cannot manage the production and delivery, you kill yourself because you overpromise and under-deliver. We always want to under-promise and over-deliver, you know. So this is where the focus area of managing your projects is really important, your production and delivery. So how we look at it, we look at, you know, we have a decision sheet on, you know, what are the projects, what are the things happening on your production line, what's the breakdown, how are you managing waste, you know, if there are errors, you know, how do you correct them in the process, and then how do you have any process, or what are the decisions you need to make to ensure waste reduction? Okay, I've seen for really, you know, terrible examples because of the situation of the pandemic, that inventories has to be basically thrown out because of inability to deliver on a timely manner because of the lockdown. Okay, so those are the things that we always have to be sensitive about, you know, what in doing scenario planning. So I like to share a framework here, a quick framework where we talk about, okay, what are the tasks, what are the projects, what are the client project tasks, you know, so you map it out. This project board pretty much helps you map out your production and deliveries. And to some extent, if you notice, this particular project board relates to your organization, relates to your people, okay, relates to the roles and responsibility of your people. So as I mentioned from several webinars already, is that each focus area is not silo. They have some connection between them, okay? So for example, when you're looking at the project board, definitely it will help you understand your organization better. Are you being effective with your human resource, okay? So this board helps you map out, creates a visual mapping so that you would be able to make better decisions and you know, actions, in the sense that how do you manage your production, and indirectly how do you manage your people. Okay, so there is a decision sheet. You know, once you map it out, you can actually write it down, and then you can identify the persons and the roles. Do you need more people? Or do you need less people? Do you need people to have, you know, more functional tasks in what they're doing? So this helps you map it out. So I'll be sharing this particular decision sheet and that, you know, slide on the framework with Magic for you to download. All right. Okay. So next we have IT system. Yes. Everybody, especially the government now, is talking about IR 4.0. You know, we want everybody to digitize and digitalize. Okay, and there is a fund with SME Bank and BSN and MDEC on IT systems. You do get, I think, one-to-one funding for you to upgrade your IT system. But the question would be, what would be the best options for you? So with these decision sheets, it's actually helping you to understand how do you optimize, where do you use it, looking at your IT security. So one of the frameworks that I like to share here is that, okay, where are the places where you can actually have platforms to improve your operation? So the thing is, don't have software just because your neighbor has it. You want to have platform softwares so that it would improve your operations. Okay, so don't buy Lamborghini when all you need is a kancil. Okay, but if you are using a kancil and the kancil is super slow, then it's time for you to upgrade. Okay, so you need to know the reasons why. What's the cost benefit? So these are the places where you see you can add value by having a platform, so to improve your operation. For example, when you're talking about customer relationship, it's good to have a database on your client and sales management. To have a web shop, blog, newsletter, to create channels, to reach out to your customer. If you're talking about operations, it's so important to ensure that whatever operations you have immediately goes into your accounting and bookkeeping. Okay, your stock, your inventory, don't have something which is separate. So you need to ensure there is alignment with your platform. Okay, a lot of people, they tend to waste a lot of money trying to buy separate packages. Okay, there are pro and cons to it. You need to get somebody to be able to advise you best on which package, which platform is best for you. So one way of doing it is by having this decision sheet to actually really look at what do you have now and what do you plan to have, to see whether there's alignment in the software platforms that you're using. And it creates you, it gives you information to allow you to make better decisions and take actions. So you would know what questions to ask. For example, what are the downside of a particular software compared to another one? Okay, rather than just being ignorant about it. Okay, right. So yeah, so it's good to know. It's good to know what questions to ask. Okay, so that you'll make better decisions. Okay, so I see this. Okay, yes. Figures and financial, yes, it is very technical. So how would you approach production and delivery optimization on service industry? So definitely one of the ways, thank you, Faris, for a really good question. Again, it is about understanding your process flow. Okay, you're looking at what we call, because to me, production, whether it's product or service, is the same thing. You use the same thing. What's the product cycle from raw material to delivery, to getting the money from the customer? So the option is pretty much understanding how many man hours it takes. How long does it take from you starting saying the client wants this to the point of you getting your value from that particular project? So you need to look at it that way. And then the thing that we always want to look in optimization is how do you make it faster, better, cheaper? The balance between faster, better, cheaper. So you need to have that journey, that production journey, and then look at how do you optimize it. Okay. Yes, I hope that answers the question. So what I would do is actually I would do a mapping. I would do a mapping from the point that you are starting, again, the invoice comes in, the PO comes in, to the point that you get the money into your bank account. I would do a mapping of that. And then we look at where is the areas of improvement, where's the bottleneck, what are the parts that are repetitive and can be addressed much earlier. Okay, so again, things like, as I said, as I'm touching here about software platform, what are the sort of software platform that can help you? We talk about database. How effectively are we using our database in our service? Reaching out to client, reminding them, reminders of their, request for service. For example, like I have this, what do you call it? Because of pandemic, I haven't serviced my car for some time. It would have been nice if my car service provider would have, said, hey, I haven't heard from you for a long time. we're open, come and service your car. So something like that. I hope that helps, Faris. Okay. As far as a small business owner, do I need to purchase this IT softwares, or do I do it manually first and purchase the software one by one during expansion? Yeah, that's a good question, Azfa. Again, there's no one way of doing it. For me personally, I believe, especially if you're a small business owner, definitely you start off with doing it manually, understanding what's your requirement, and then exploring what are the softwares that you require. Okay, so yeah, one step at a time. Sometimes it is good, again, to get, for example, like payroll, HR, and accounting. To me, it's good to just get lumped together because it is very aligned. So what you need to look at, and one of the things that we would ask you to do based on our discussion as business coaches is looking at your budget, looking at the outcome that you want. And the question that we always ask to service provider, the IT service provider, that is this, you're able to stack it or not? Meaning, for example, if you want to buy first the accounting package, can you stack it with HR later, HR and payroll? Can you stack it with inventory? So that might be the thing that would make you decide taking that platform or not. Okay. So again, it is about cost and benefit. Okay, welcome Aswan. Again, kalau orang Melayu cakap kena ukur baju apa? Baju dekat badan sendirilah. There's no wrong or right. Do what works for you. So sometimes they try to hard sell, telling you, oh, you need the whole package. You say, yeah, this is what I can afford. This is what I want. Can we stack it up later? So those are the questions that you perhaps would need to have when you're asking the service provider. Hope that helps. Okay, right. Thank you for the question. Baju senting now, yeah. Nasib baik ada baju.
Yeah, I remember the founder of Groupon last time when she first started. It was all manual and Excel and post-it notes. She was taking orders until the point where she has traction and she can't.
Exactly.
She has the traction and the funds. Then it's built. So
yeah. So exactly, don't buy the Lamborghini, the Mercedes, the Volvo, and the BMW when all you need is to get to A to B. You can use a bicycle, you can use a skateboard, you use what you can afford, okay, until to a point that the benefit of getting that new platform outweighs the cost. So you need to measure that out, okay, right? Hope that helps. Thank you for the awesome questions and comments. Okay, so moving along. So again, here, what you're looking at, pretty much you're mapping your needs. You're mapping your needs. Doesn't mean that you have to have everything now, but at least you know what you want, what you need, and you can prioritize, okay? So that when the decision of you have to make a decision to upgrade, you already you know what's your return on investment for it. You know what's your expectation. Okay, so it's really important to know what you want and need ahead so that you are able to prioritize better. Okay, right. So the last portion, which to me is still very important, is facilities. Okay, facilities is about the basics, selecting the right location for your business facility. And it's not only that, it's about looking at your design and how do you manage them, how do you ensure your production capacity, how do you make sure you maintain, your maintenance process. And also one thing that a lot of people overlook is maintaining a knowledge library for your personnel, okay? A lot of people tend to put that aside. So that's one thing I like to highlight in facilities. One of the decision sheets is pretty much looking at your knowledge library, okay? Because as you grow, you need to have a systematic way to be able to have your employees replicate the production without spending too much downtime. So one thing that needs to be done is to have your knowledge library prepared. Okay, and how do you do that? So one framework that we have here is that what are the things, what are the knowledge that you need to have? What's the knowledge that is critical to your business? Okay, your product knowledge, the process knowledge, the network knowledge, the market knowledge, the technological knowledge. So to me, this is one critical success factor that a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs actually overlook, because they say, this is cost, in actual fact, it's an investment. It's a simple investment that you can build up along as you go along. Okay, so having, a portion of your facility where you actually invest in knowledge is really important, especially when future is now, when knowledge employees are even more important. And it is one of the critical success factor for future fit organizations, that you as a business, you actually provide knowledge, you provide a cachet of knowledge for your employees to be able to refer, to ensure that your business is sustainable in the future. So there is a checklist here that we share with you to look at, specific useful knowledge required, process, production, market, network, and technology, and any other additional material you require. The importance, how do you gather those knowledge? How do you store it? Who's responsible? Because you need to make sure you maintain it. It's like, McDonald's is where they are now because of their knowledge library. Starbucks is where they are is because of their knowledge library, the extensive in-house training that they do for their staff, so that whatever burger, fries that they sell to you is equivalent quality, irrespective what country you're in. I have a friend, an American, who travels, and every country he goes, the last meal he would have in that country is a Big Mac, because he wants to compare the quality of Big Mac, and he finds out that all Big Macs are the same, irrespective what country he's visiting. That's what he shares with me. So for an organization to go that big with the maintaining the quality, the knowledge library is immense. Okay, so it's something that I thought will be unique to share with all of you to think about in your business when you are starting to build your business processes, start to build your customer relationships, start to build your organization, to also look at your facility in your knowledge library. Okay, so let me look. There's one comment here in the chat box. Okay, dua kipas. If I intend to cut operation costs, which one should I minimize first? Wow, this is soalan cepu mas. Frankly, I don't have a specific answer for you. But what I would say is the one that brings the least return. Okay, a wasteful, a step which is wasteful. So if you intend to cut operation costs, the first thing I would recommend for you is to map out the value creation of your organization. And then you decide which step are either overlapping, redundant, or wasteful. Okay, and that's the one that you need to minimize first. So again, in business, I can't give you a generic, an answer that would, because I don't know your business. But if you ask me, I would do a value creation mapping of your operation, look at the process, see which one is the what we call bottleneck, some steps which are redundant or overlapping, or steps that actually do not bring the returns that you want, doesn't create value. So those are the ones that I would minimize first. I hope that answers the question, Dua Kipas. Me like Dua Lipa, she has to maintain her body, right, in order to look good. So it's not an operation cost she can cut off. She probably can cut off the clothing because The less, the more return. I'm just joking. All right. I hope that answers the question, Dua Kipas. So again, it's good for you in your operations to do a value creation mapping, to look at your process again from when you start, from the very beginning where you start, doing your promotion and whatnot, to when the cash goes into your account. What are the steps? Okay, and the thing that we are looking at optimizing operation is how can we make that cash cycle, we call it cash cycle, how do we shorten it? How do we make that, the amount of money we put in to the amount of money we get back in a shorter period of time with the least wasteful resources? I hope that answers the question. So in some ways, looking at your financials, looking at your funding requirement, looking at your production and deliverables, and seeing how IT platforms can enable you to cut costs. So you need to do cost benefit analysis in having particular platform. Okay, remember, technology enables, okay, people drives. So you have to make sure whatever technology, whatever IT platform that you decide to take, that your people are able to learn it quickly. Your people are able to motivated to utilize it fully. So you have to take into consideration when you are deciding investing in IT platforms, how capable of your people to actually learn it. So that's why if you notice in the decision sheet of platforms, they do say what sort of training is required. Okay, right. So with that, with all those decision sheets, I hope that answers questions and I hope that add value. Again, we like to emphasize, it's one thing about making decisions, is another thing to make action. So what we like to emphasize again is that for whatever decision sheets that you do and the decisions and actions you want to take, make sure that you have your 30, 60, 90 days plan done up. Delegate if it's required, identify who's the person in charge and have a timeline to make it happen. Okay, so because if you don't write it down, if you don't communicate it, it's not going to happen. So we're all here to make decisions and actions for your business. Where should we start? We should actually start with all of you registering with Magic for our capstone. And I believe Rosalind will have more information. What we're looking at is for perhaps a workshop and also a one-to-one. One-to-one meaning one with your team, because I believe business coaching, you require to be with the team rather than with just individuals, unless totally you're a solopreneur. So with that, 2 minutes to 4, any questions? I welcome any questions.
Let me see. There is none on Facebook. We had the question from Doki Paz and Faris, and we had someone was saying this is the most technical
It is
session out of the 4. Yes, it is.
It is. But it is crucial. It is very crucial.
It is, yeah, because at the end of the day, if anyone were to put money on you, it comes back to the numbers.
Yes, exactly.
And
so feel free to contact me either through Magic, where you can see there, you can see my contact number 01964111358. WhatsApp me, because I don't take unknown numbers. I don't pick up unknown numbers. You can email me at s.atan@stratnavigo.com, or you can follow me at Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagrams at safura.atan. So there's a question by Faris here. Any good reference or content we can check out? Recommendation of books, there's a lot. There's plenty. Depending on what you want to focus at. So please feel free, if you want, you can personally message me and we have a conversation to see what sort of things that you're looking for. Just to sort of like sell myself a bit. We do packages, if you like. We can do a one-off just to see where you want to go. And we do offer coaching for your organization moving forward. And the platform Growth Wheel is also available if you want to utilize it for your team. We can discuss further the details on a one-to-one basis.